Hello, beautiful soul family. Rebecca here, your vibe mentor. And this is the place for conscious, purpose driven entrepreneurs who are looking to remove the blocks that hold them back from their life purpose so that we can manifest abundance and assist in creating heaven on earth. Welcome, welcome, welcome back home. Finally, we were gone for 10 whole days and it was quite a ride. It was very noisy, although we had a gorgeous hotel room with a pool view. That also meant that we got all of the noise from the pool. And with two little ones and just myself in the hotel room, it was very, very difficult to get away and find quiet time. As you may have noticed, some of my TikTok videos or my YouTube shorts this week were pretty noisy and or non-existent, and or me just quickly coming in from the pool covered in sunscreen and no makeup. So I'm very happy to be home and here with you. Today is our Monday Magic Intuitive Energy reading. And as always, this is my favorite day of the week. Like I said in the last video, I love being here with you guys. So I'm excited to be back in my home office, in my home in general. The windows are open, which is awesome and amazing for Wisconsin in the early days of April. That's pretty rare. So happy to be here with you. So let's dig into sort of my take on the current energies. If you're new here, welcome. This is just my experience of how the energies are being perceived and working through my life. I like to share where we're at and how I'm experiencing things so that you know that you are not alone, should you also be experiencing something similar. So, it's really interesting. And I always to let you know when I have personally experienced something so that you can understand that may be my filter, because I do my best to deliver a unfiltered energy reading, and yet my experience will always come through. So I do preface this whenever I think it may be partially influencing what I am saying to you. And yet at the same time, it's very fascinating how we all experience similar energies in different ways. And while I did just drive 20 hours to Florida and 20 hours back, arriving last night around midnight back home, um, that aside, it feels energetically as if we have just gone through a wild ride, right? That we, over the last 2 weeks, since March 15th ish, we sort of dove into something, right? For me, it was a car accident and bringing up all of the challenges that brings with it, along with some of the nervous system healing and the trauma processing that had to go with that. And that's just my personal experience. But collectively, what I'm sensing, the patterns that I'm seeing, is that we all sort of dove into the depths of some type of experience. And for some, it was good. And for some, it was challenging. But generally, across the board, it was intense. Right. And so it's kind of like we just completed a wild ride. And I felt a break in the intensity of the energy right around Thursday. Things started to lift and feel easier and lighter. I noticed that it's as if some of the cloudiness or the fogginess had lifted, that we were starting to get more clarity. And whatever we just went through, it felt, while exhausting and challenging for some of us, it was extremely beneficial. And I mentioned this the last couple of weeks, but it's sort of the best thing that's ever happened to us, right? It's one of the best things that that has ever happened to us, in the sense that it shifts our perspective. It removes another layer of the veil. It brings us to new heightened levels of mastery. And so whatever we dove into leveled us up. And sometimes it's interesting because energy moves in a spiral, right? We're always spiraling up. And sometimes we can have that feeling of 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And you can feel like, I healed that wound already. I processed that trauma already. I went through that already. I thought I was on top of that. I thought we had overcome that. I thought that was done. And that tendency, anytime we notice ourselves saying that to ourselves, that's when we want to notice that because energy is circular like this, we are moving up through, and yet it can seem like we have come back around, but we are at a higher level of that experience, a higher level of mastery or processing of that lesson, that learning, that gift, and know that every time we experience something that is challenging for us, it sharpens our ability to be able to assist others in that area or that arena. And so, through this experience that we've just gone through, this wild ride that we are completing now, we discovered big things. We shifted our trajectory, hopefully for the positive. If you're choosing to do the work, you're being honest with yourself, you are being open and willing to do the work and to make the shifts and changes that you're being asked to make, then you can rest assured that you have just shifted your trajectory to an even higher potential, a higher timeline. It's as if we learned new skills, that we sharpened skills we already had. Again, gaining mastery, perfecting, sharpening the sword, if you will. That this experience was a leveling up, and I most certainly felt that in my life. And the beautiful thing is, now that we're sort of completing this lesson, this wild ride that we just went on, we are now ready to apply what we have learned. That there may have been insights or awarenesses or epiphanies or aha moments where you realize that new level of mastery. You realize what it's going to take to move through this and move to that next level. And when you come into the awareness of these new insights, and it may be something as simple as, I historically have had negative thinking, and I've worked really hard on reprogramming my neural pathways and shifting and changing my thought patterns. I thought I had shifted into a more positive focused mindset, and yet maybe I did sort of start to slip. And so now I recognize I need even more. I need even more persistence, even more insistence, even more delusional thinking, even more positive thinking, even more awe and gratitude and grace and love and empathy and compassion, even more focus on the good. And so now we may have come to that learning or that lesson or that awareness, and yet integration takes time. And that's kind of where I feel we are at today. Is it's okay to rest. We went on this wild ride, and it took a lot of energy, and it took a lot of um, uh, exertion, right? It took a lot out of us in general. And the tendency for some of us, especially those of us who have sort of that perfectionist streak or the hypervigilance tendency, we may feel like we need to push now and drive hard towards this new integration. And yet integration takes time. Integration takes rest, that we are being asked to marinate in it. And that was a fun one when that came through. It says rest and soak in it. So it's as if in the resting, in the opening, in the willingness to just rest in it, to marinate in it, there's an opening that happens that allows that integration to come into us at a cellular level, where we start to embody this new learning. But if we step into the masculine and we start pushing and we drive forward with too much intensity, there's the resistance and the closing off in the masculine. Whereas right now, the resting in it, the marinating in it, letting it percolate is necessary to open up enough to be able to receive and absorb and let it marinate into your soul so that you are embodying it. And also, there is a suggestion that we will need to rest up for what's about to come. We have a full moon on April 6th, depending on where you're at. It could be the 5th, could be the 6th. It is April 6th, 12:34 a.m. Eastern time. So for us in the central time zone, that's actually April 5th at 11:35 or 34 p.m. So gauge your location and where that's happening for you. Essentially, we're in it now, that we tend to start to feel the effects of a new moon or a full moon 3 days before and for 3 days after. It is a full moon, but it is not feeling as intense. This feels softer. This feels nourishing. And I believe it's in Libra. And Libra is that sign of balance and justice. It is also opposite the sun in Aries, so that pulls in the Aries energy. So, but I'm still sensing a softer energy about this. The sun, it is also my birthday tomorrow. So if you would love to send me a birthday gift, there is a link below for donations. Otherwise, just a happy birthday comment would be awesome. But this sun is conjunct my sun, and it is also conjunct Chiron. So this is interesting for everyone collectively. Jupiter is close by. Jupiter has passed this point already, but we are marching towards a new moon eclipse on April 20th, which is right on that cusp of Aries and Taurus. And that one's going to be a bit more intense. We've got an aspect to Pluto and all sorts of fun stuff going on there. So we're not going to, that's too far ahead. We're not getting ahead of ourselves. Point being, something's coming. And this moment of percolating or marinating or resting or opening and receiving and integrating what we just learned is really important. So do take the time to rest up, because we will need to be rested for whatever is coming, is the message that was received. So just remember, and this is part of what was asked to be delivered. So just remember that you are held for whatever's coming. Don't be driven by the emotion. Don't let fear creep in. Know that you are held, you are protected, and you are deeply, deeply loved. The only time we really get into trouble is when we start to feel like we have to carry the weight of the world. We have to solve the problems alone. It's all solely up to us. When we forget that we are one with the divine, that God made you in its image, that you are truly the favorite creation as a human being. When we remember our oneness with our Creator, we are held, we are protected, because we are deeply, deeply loved. And things might look a little hairy in the future. Some financial things are going on. There's a shift happening. And that's okay. That the crumbling is good, because it allows us to pick up the pieces and build something new. And as long as we are keeping our eyes on God, we are staying focused on our path, we are sweeping in front of our own door, we're cleaning up our own shit, we'll be okay. As long as we are doing what we are guided to do, we will be provided for. And I don't know that it's going to be that bad, but when something says, deliver the message, they'll need to be rested, and remember, you are held, protected, and loved, that to me suggests that we might need that reminder, that there might be something more coming that causes us to need that reminder. So maybe it's amazing, and maybe it could be a little hairy. Who knows? We shall see. But in the end, I do know what I do know, and what I do feel is that it is for our good, and it's going to be better than we could ever have expected once we get through sort of the destruction phase. Yeah. So just kind of touching back into what we experienced last week, that on Thursday, there was an opening, that there was that lifting of the veil, the lifting of the density and the heaviness and the intensity of the energy. But with that also came some clarity, maybe even some confirmations, maybe new insights, connected dots for you. And we are now being asked to remember our power of creation, to remember our creative abilities, to remember that this new insight, this new clarity, these new learnings that we just received, that we are integrating, we are embodying at this moment, it's going to require us to leverage our creative ability, to to learn how to use our power. Taking your power back is one thing, right? We set boundaries, we don't entangle with lower vibrational people or energies. We take our power back in that way. And it's one thing to take your power back, but it's another to learn how to wield your power. That we are co-creating with our creator all the time. We are manifestors. We are manifesting all the time, whether we realize it or not. It could be more of the same. If we are on autopilot, we are unconscious of what we're doing. But when we are wielding our power, we are consciously creating. We are aware of, to a large degree, to the vast majority of the time, to a larger extent than we have been historically. There's always going to be more growth. We're never going to be fully there, or we will be one with source. So as long as we are in this process of reuniting with our creator, we're going to need to learn to wield our power and to manifest consciously. And so that means that we're starting to leverage the clarity and the insights and the dot connections that have happened for us over the last couple of weeks. We are perfecting our craft as creators. Now, depending on your clair, how you wield your power is going to be specific to you. I use myself as an example because that's what I know well. And ideally, that's something that you'll be able to sort of wrap your head around or understand more clearly with an example. So my clair, one of my clairs, I would say my strongest clair is a sense of knowing. I knew from a young child that I was going to be a businesswoman. I was playing with daytimers while all the other girls were playing with Barbies. There have been moments in my life of just knowing. I know this is coming. I know this is where I'm going. I know. And we're in this moment now where the knowing is important to all of us, relative or regardless of your clair is going to play a factor. But knowing, clarity of, it's interesting. Hold on. Being able to wield our power depends on our ability to clarify our vessel, remove all toxins that lower our frequency, raise our vibration to its highest possible potential, and then expanding from the heart through heart coherence, the alignment of the mind and the heart. We expand our generator. Our heart is our generator. And in combination with that high vibration, that expanded power through the generator of the heart, we utilize our knowing in our certainty to create. So I'm sure, let's use the example of money. You've likely had a time where you said, I'm calling in $1 million. I'm calling in money to pay this bill. I'm calling in, $100, whatever it is. And there's it's a scale or a spectrum of certainty, right? When we first start out on that journey of learning how to wield our power, we start with quite a bit of doubt. Sure, I'll give this a try, but it probably won't happen. Not really sure if this will work, right? There's a high level of uncertainty. And as we practice and we call in pennies and we call in feathers and we call in our purpose and we call in financial support or the love of our life or healing for our bodies or whatever it might be, we gain greater levels of certainty. And we're moving up the spectrum of knowing or certainty. And it's the combination of the high vibration, the management of the thoughts, the alignment with the heart coherence, right? Heart and mind coherence that expands the generator of our heart, but it is the knowing, the declaration, the commanding. And you can't command if there is any level of uncertainty. That we are stepping into a greater ability to manifest. Things are happening faster because we're getting better at this. And now is the time to perfect the craft. And so part of the guidance or the message that came through for this video today was perfect the craft of mind management. But I wanted to give you the overarching sort of how-to around manifestation. right? That utilizing the heart coherence, practicing expanding the sphere of your heart energy around you. It starts with the mind management, and that's the instructions for today. And so I'm kind of getting a sense that we should just pull it back to that, because we don't want to overcomplicate it, but just know mind management is the next critical step for all of us. And then we will move into solidifying our knowing. And a way we can practice that or start to strengthen that today is through the things we say to ourselves. How do you speak to yourself? Do you say kind, loving things, or do you beat yourself up? What do you look for out in the world? Do you look for what's wrong, or do you look for what's right? What is your self-concept? How do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as able and capable and strong and intelligent and unstoppable? Or do you see yourself as broken and weak and unworthy and uncertain? I might fail. This might not work for me. Maybe I'll just stay stuck forever. So that's why the instruction right now is to really perfect the craft of mind management. If you have a list of priorities of things in your life, put this at the top. This is the absolute, utmost, most important thing you will ever, skill you will ever develop. This is the beginning of wielding your power. Be incessantly delusional. I used to be realistic, and I used to really struggle with people who were Pollyanna-ish or lied to themselves or told themselves stories that things were better than they were. Come to find out, I was wrong. That being realistic, focusing on the negatives, was actually holding me back. That it's in our persistence and our delusion that we actually end up creating what we want to experience. And it reminds me of a Bible verse that says, let everything that have breath praise the Lord. And it's interesting because the language is old, right? The language is for thousands of years ago. What would that sound like if we said it today? That means if you are breathing, if you are still alive, there's something to be grateful for. Continue to praise, continue to have gratitude, to continue to be in awe, continue to focus on the positive. Be incessantly, delusionally positive. Now, of course, it's not toxic positivity. Address the traumas, feel the feelings, let the sadness or the disappointment or the depression move through you. That means it should pass quickly. Don't sit in it, right? We want to marinate in what we just learned, not in the energy of the past. Okay. So solidify your knowing that beautiful things are coming. Solidify your knowing that you are worthy. Solidify your knowing that life is happening for you and not to you. And whatever you just experienced is for your highest good. It doesn't need to be a bad thing. I used to really dislike when someone would say it was for my highest good. It was kind of like the abusive parent who slaps you upside the face and says that's for your highest good. That's not how our Creator treats us. Sometimes it can be difficult, it can be challenging, but it is not hurting us. It is putting us on a higher timeline. It is sending us towards our dreams, our desires that were put on our heart by our Creator. So focus on the good, focus on what's right, and look away from what is not right. If you've done the work to process the trauma, you've felt the feelings, you've moved through the emotion, then it's time to look away. We've seen enough. I'm not saying put your head in the sand. I'm not saying be ignorant to what we need to guard against. But once we have the information, we're aware of what's going on, you've got to stop paying attention to it, because where your focus goes, grows. It's time to learn to wield our power. So redefine, what does good look like? And I'm going to be doing quite a few more videos on this coming soon, because I have something really big and awesome and amazing for you. So let me address that, and then we'll get to what's good and awesome and amazing coming soon. Redefining what good looks like. So the world has told us that, material things equal success, or, keeping up with the Joneses is how we determine whether or not we're good enough. That we have based our value and worth on unsustainable things that are not a true measure of high value and worth. So redefine what good looks like for you. Redefine how you measure your value and worth. Redefine how you measure the value and worth of people who you engage with. Redefine what good looks like for your life, for your loved ones, for the collective whole, and start to live your life based on a new set of priorities that you chose, not that somebody else gave you. What does it mean to you? What feels right to you? And redefine that. So the awesome and good thing and super exciting thing that's coming is I'm shifting and changing my services, my courses, everything. It's all getting a complete overhaul. Of course, like I said, we went through a big deep dive over the last couple of weeks, and this is really exciting because it feels so much more aligned to my original blueprint. You may have noticed in some of my videos, I have a tendency to, it's a bit of a channeling. If I'm totally honest with myself, I do, jot down some bullet points to keep me on track and make sure I cover everything. But generally there are messages that come through. And when I reserve that for only those who can afford $2,000 for 6 months, which is where we used to be, it's limiting, and it's keeping me from sharing this gift with more people. And so I'm going to be moving into a more cost-effective structure. So I'm going to be doing regular master classes. I'm not going to commit to a cadence right now, but it's looking like 8 weeks, every 2 to 3 months, we'll be doing a master class. It will be hyper focused on a specific piece of content. Right now, this upcoming one, April 14th, is going to be the first one. So I know that's coming up pretty quick. I will link below the link to join us. And it's going to focus on your self-concept. It's going to focus on your self-worth. So again, when we talk about wielding your power, learning how to be the manifestor that you're designed to be, learning how to remove the blocks so you can step into your purpose, it all starts with your worthiness. How worthy do you feel? How valuable do you feel? Do you know what your gifts are? Do you look at your flaws, or do you look at your strengths? And when we have a poor self-concept, we tend to overgive, we tend to people please, we tend to fall into perfectionism or low self-esteem, things of that nature. We self-sabotage, we play small, we hide, we isolate, we go into hermit mode. And so it all starts with the self-concept. And so we're going to do a really deep dive into why we feel this way, identifying the root that is specific to your limiting belief around your self-concept, and then how do we shift and change it. And it is really fascinating because, as you know, I'm studying psychology, getting a master's in educational psychology so that we can make this even bigger and get it into schools and things of that nature. Topic for another day. But the self-concept, it is very, very fascinating that two students who test equally, or let's say equally for the sake of an example, two students who test equally on their abilities towards a topic or a subject, let's call it math. Both students are equivalent on their abilities as it relates to math. The one student who does not feel capable will do 25 to 50% lower or less. They will perform. I'm not using my terms correctly here, and that's okay. I'm not going to perfect my language here, but they essentially will say it the other way, the positive way. The student who has a high self-concept, who believes in themselves, who knows, who says, I'm good at math, right? One student says, I'm not good at math, and one student says, I'm good at math. The one who believes, the one who has the self-concept that says, I am good at math, will do 25 to 50% better than the student who does not have that positive self-concept as it relates to math. What does that tell you? It reminds us, it continues to point to our ability to wield our power is in our knowing of who we are, what we are made for, and what we're capable of doing. So diving deep into this self-concept is going to be huge. So I'm going to do a masterclass. I'm going to say an hour, but we might go over a little bit, maybe about 90 minutes, I would say maximum. April 14th, 10 a.m., link below to join us, $22. Could not be any more accessible. And it's going to dive deep into the how. I'm going to empower you to find the block that keeps you from believing in yourself. Find the thing that causes you to overgive. Find the thing that causes you to people please or fall into perfectionism or all these other things, so that you can believe in yourself, so that you can be free of that fear of rejection, the fear of not being enough. When we know I am awesome, I am amazing, I deserve the good things in life. God created overflow of abundance that he wants to pour into my life. And I am open to receiving that because I am beautiful and I am awesome and I am amazing and I'm a prize to be won. And it is a privilege to be in my energy. You want to feel that way all the time, because without that, you won't be able to perfect your mind management so that you can step into the knowing, so that you can master your power, master your creative abilities, create the life that you dream of. It all starts with that ability to know, that self-concept, that you are more than enough. And that's why I'm titling it More Than Enough, because it's not just I'm enough. It's I'm amazing. I'm good at math. I am an excellent manifester. I am a beautiful, bright, shining star, so bright that I changed the world. So I would love to see you there. I'm so excited for this. Master classes every 6 to 8 to 12 weeks, right in that range. We will be deep diving. This is going to be life-changing. I can promise you. $22 to change your life could not be any more reasonable. So I would love to see you there. Please do click the link below. Check out the sales page if you have any more questions. I've got details on there that should help answer your questions. I love you guys. And it's going to be live on Zoom so I can see you, which is so exciting. And you get to see your community as well. So, and also, if you are part of my community, this will be free for you. So you can join the community. There's also a link below for that. All of the master classes will be free for community members. So yay, join us. We are doing beautiful things. The crumbling means there are bricks to use to build something new, and we are the New Earth Construction Team. So I'm so excited to be here on Earth with you at this time. Life is good. I can promise you, when you start to learn these skills, these tools, the rules of the game called life, learn how to drive the Ferrari sports car that is your body, mind, heart, and soul. You can have a beautiful life, and life is awesome. It's fun. It's worth living when you learn how to do this. So, all right, I will see you guys very soon. We have lots more content coming for you, tons of little tips and tricks and other insights around this topic will be coming out in future videos. So keep an eye out for that. If you're not already subscribed, make sure you do that so that you can get notified when new videos come out. Otherwise, make sure you share this video if there's anybody who you know who could benefit from it. It does help grow not just this community, but the New Earth Construction Team, the Lightworker Support Network, New Earth in general. All right. I love you, my friends. I will see you on the next video. Take care. Namaste.